Hello, time to start with the first work, the first Pomodoro. So let's gonna get our Pomodoro running. Let's gonna start a timer. That was a bit loud on my ears. Jeez. Okay. We have mentioned that we are going to be doing the Discaton SysApp. You should see it on the title. So let's gonna create a new class library. I am only interested on the Flow TDD. Don't care about UI at the moment or anything like that. Oops, it's not minus P, it's minus O. Okay, so that's gonna help all our logic. We want a place to have our tests because after all we are doing TDD. Okay, we are gonna need to initialize. We don't have to, but it's nice, even in this kind of exercises, get things into Git. So I don't. If I go completely the wrong direction, I can always blow up what I was doing, go back to a previous position. So there's gonna be some Git ignore that we are gonna modify in a second. Okay, let's gonna go a second into the test project. We need to add a reference to our to a project that has all the logic. And I love Fluent assertions. The Fluent assertions style is pretty nice. So on the case of SysApp, the library is called Fluent assertions. And I think that's all that we are gonna need for now to get this up and running. Let's gonna run some the basic tests here. Basic tests, all fine, or running. Interesting that .NET, when you create the UX unit, it creates a passing test. Leiningen for Clojure, for example, it creates a failing test. So the first thing that you need to do is actually start working on the test. Failing tests are knowing that you have some failing tests is useful because it gives you something to start working with. Yeah. Okay. Let's gonna leave this for a second. Let's gonna go into our editor. Let's gonna open. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's gonna go into not over there. Okay. That's fine. Let's gonna get all these over here. Open this one. Doesn't really matter which one I'm opening. Well, actually, I want to open this one just because some a specific setup with the tooling that I'm using. I want to make sure that these files are, the get ignore files ignores the bin and object folder from C#, because then when I'm looking for files, it will ignore those folders, which is useful. Let's gonna get Unitest, for example, up and running over here. Just gonna get vterm, which is cell. Again, doesn't, not important. Other than it's, well, it's a cell, yeah. So the actual is a terminal. The rest is not not very important. Okay. We're just gonna see if this is okay. Okay, so we have everything building from here as well, and we can see the error. That's fine. Let's gonna separate. Let's gonna open over here. For now, class 1. Fantastic. Okay, time to start thinking. Well, first, I don't have a solution file over here. LSP doesn't seem to need it. Visual Studio Code doesn't seem to need it. I dislike solution files from Visual Studio. I think they are horrible because you cannot modify them manually. Yeah, there's all the widths over there, and one not complicated. Just to sell some tooling, worthless. Okay, so there is a book called Growing Object-Oriented Systems with Tests. I think it was called like that. Nat Priest and Steve Friedman. Great book. One of the main ideas that they introduce over there is what now is called the outside in, or the London School, because they developed ideas while in London doing the stream programming sessions, which I think they still run on Tuesdays. And the main idea of compare what is called the classicist or Chicago way of doing TDD is that you start from the outside and coming in, yeah, which I like a lot because it indicates that you have that layer, the API layer at the top, which is how people are going to interact with your system, and you're testing. When you test in general, you don't want to go too much into detail about what's going inside the code that you are testing. The important thing is looking at what is the input of the code that you are doing and what is the output. More importantly, you want to see what is the input that the client, the user, is going to provide you, and what they're going to see as a result of that input. For us, actually, the code that was the sample that was provided, the requirements rather, they already tell us that this is the input, this is the output, basically. So this is the API that we need to test, and therefore we are going to be testing this. And I like to have always examples of what I am supposed to be providing. This specific version of the text of the kata doesn't tell you what it is, but we have created this nice game over here that we can use as a way of determining if our code works or not. So I'm gonna put it onto one side just because I always have my Emacs full size spec. Let's gonna start. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is rename this unit test 1. Awful name. I don't always rename things from the beginning. Sometimes you just wait, yeah? I'm trying to do some work. Let's gonna finish the work and then it's gonna refactor things that don't look nice. That can be the code, that can be the naming. You can refactor the algorithm, you can whatever you want, as long as you have working code. I think that's the most important thing. Make sure that the code works first. It doesn't matter if it's awful. Non-working code has less value than awful working code. Then you can improve that awful working code. But get the initial value out of the door as quickly as possible. Having said that, I am renaming this file because unit test 1, of course, is an awful name. Unit test 1, let's gonna rename it to game specs. Hey, we are bringing BDD into the fold. Well, no, not really. I know on this specific case, I'm not following some of the niceties of BDD, mostly because for what I'm doing right now is not as important, yeah, or the whole Gherkin language and whatnot. Okay, so we want to make sure that that's the one that we are working on. Game specs has changed the name correctly. It's not being used anywhere, so I can just rename it over here. Game specs, and the initial test is gonna be full single person game, which is what I have over here. Yeah, this is a single person game, so that's what I'm gonna be setting up here. We know, because it's a requirement. It is a requirement over here to have a game, a class game. Okay, that's usually you will not get that from a client. The client should know about what language are you using or anything like that. Okay, so there is a game, and on this game, I'm gonna have. I'm gonna be able to roll, and let's gonna put everything that I see up here. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 rolls that happen to be on the really not 21, no, 20, yeah, 20 rolls that happen to be on the sample that we have set up over there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then there is gonna be, we are gonna get the score. We are gonna fix those numbers in a second, yeah? So there is gonna be a score. And the score it has to be 120. So let's gonna do over here. That's a 2. That's a 7. That's a 3. That's a 0. That's a 10. That's the second roll of the frame. So that creates a spare. 6, 1. This one. It is an actual strike. I'm just gonna put it over here, just so we know. spare, and this one creates a spare as well. Not necessarily useful information on the long run, but at least while we are doing the test, some additional info that doesn't hurt. So we can remove it later on. Oops, sorry. 26, 24, 7, 1. I'm missing something, or I put too many. 42, 7, 3. Oh, I'm missing a 7, 1. Just gonna put it here. 7, 1. There's another 7, 1 over here, and then we have a strike on the bonus roll, and just a 6 on the last bonus roll. 6. There it is. Something is going on over here. I have to look into this. This should have been failing right now. But that's the basic spec. Yeah, it is the same game that I have set up before. So we know that this is gonna be the final score based on the specific entries that we have done over here. Just gonna indicate so the important thing is that this test right now, it will not pass, it will fail, and that's fine. But in fact, I do not know why it's not just okay. Okay, now it appears. It has taken pure LSP is taking its time to actually pick up stuff. Oof. Okay, so it's complaining because there is no such thing as a game. Yeah. So let's gonna get that game in place. So file. This one is going to be called game.cs. No. Sorry, that's a small thing with the way that my system works. File, and we want to rename. Let me undo this change. So let's gonna rename class one to game.cs, and I have to do that's it. So the alternate file is called game.cs, and we can rename this game. So this is our game class. Now we can come over here and code actions, and this one is using bowling game. Now all the roles appear as errors, which is of course because they don't exist on the left hand side of our code. So let's gonna get them up. Let's gonna get them created, same with the score, created. For now it throws exceptions, don't care. Right now I'm just trying to actually compile at all. Oh, okay, so the last one is Sult comes from the Fluent assertions. I mentioned before Fluent assertions is pretty well, yeah. Result should be 120. For this one, this is a nice thing that at some point C# introduced. I was kind of away from C# for 5 years because once I started consulting, I was doing every language but C#. They introduced this global using statement. I don't think it's something that we'll use too much on source code, but on tests they work quite well. Ruined assertions. Back into game specs. Now it passes. And we can go here, run the test again. Oh, of course. Save. Then it will work. Let's gonna run the test again. One test failing, which is this full single person game, normal, because we haven't implemented everything. And this is the test from the outside. Now we're gonna start looking at different things as we have them over here. Looking at how to test roll and score and such. But this is the test until we haven't implemented everything, all the spells, all the strikes, the bonus rolls. It will keep failing, which is annoying if you are not running tests all the time. For example, if you are using .NET Watch test, which basically it will keep looking at all the files that it knows about and see if there is any change on those files, and it will run the test for those files if something changes. You can see that it has failed over there. Let's gonna say, for example, this change, and you can see that it's running again at the bottom of the screen. Save again, just because. By the way, act. How was called? I have a problem with my memory. Arrange, act, assert. Don't need to put comments into it. Just use judicial use of white space is more than enough to see the structure. Okay. Maybe at some point this can be moved somewhere else, do something slightly different. This whole game rolls over here that we have repeated 20 times, but I'm not worried about it right now. There's only one place where it's being used. Doesn't matter that I'm repeating it 20 times. Not important. Okay. So I'm gonna commit this just because we have something in place. We have something that is building, even if nothing is passing. Why is it doing down there? That is slightly annoying. Let's gonna do it here better. Okay, move away from this. Awesome. Now the next part. I don't want to having to implement everything together at this on a single go. I want to be able to go bit by bit. And that will come on the next Pomodoro.